The universe is vast, full of wonders. Yet, here on Earth, in the middle of the 20th century, two great nations were locked in a struggle. This was the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union weren't battling with armies on a battlefield. Instead, they competed in other ways, vying for influence, power, and prestige. They built bigger bombs and tried to prove their way of life was superior. This competition extended beyond our world, reaching for the heavens above. It was a race unlike any other, the space race. This cosmic contest began with a beep, a simple, repeating beep heard from orbit. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite. This small metal sphere circling the Earth shocked the world, a clear sign of Soviet technological skill. The United States felt a new kind of urgency. It was a challenge to catch up and surpass their rival. The starting gun had been fired. The race to space was on, with the finish line not on Earth, but somewhere far, far away. The stakes were incredibly high. Each success in space was a victory on Earth. The Soviets sent the first animal into orbit, the dog Laika. Then they sent the first human, Yuri Gagarin. These were huge moments, powerful symbols of Soviet achievement. For the United States, the pressure mounted. President John F. Kennedy saw an opportunity, a bold goal that could unite the nation. A goal so difficult, so audacious, that achieving it would be an undeniable triumph for human ingenuity and for America. In 1961, President Kennedy stood before the U.S. Congress and proposed a daring mission. He said the United States should commit itself to landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. This had to be done before the decade was out. This was not just about science, it was about destiny, about showing the world what free people could achieve. The goal was set. The destination was our silvery neighbor in the night sky. The journey would be one of the greatest adventures in human history. The Apollo program was born from this challenge. It was a massive undertaking, requiring the work of over 400,000 scientists, engineers, and technicians. They had to invent new technologies and solve problems that had never been solved before. They built the Saturn V rocket, the most powerful machine ever created by humans. A skyscraper of controlled power, designed to break the chains of Earth's gravity. Its only purpose was to send a tiny capsule with 3 explorers on a 250,000-mile journey to another world. On July 16, 1969, the world held its breath. The Saturn V rocket stood ready on the launch pad. Inside the Apollo 11 capsule were 3 astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. The countdown reached 0. Fire and thunder erupted from the base of the rocket. It slowly, majestically climbed into the blue sky, carrying the hopes of a nation and the curiosity of our entire species. For 4 days, they traveled through the black emptiness of space, a tiny ship on a vast cosmic ocean, heading for the moon. On July 20, 1969, the Eagle lander separated from the main ship. Armstrong and Aldrin began their descent to the lunar surface. It was a tense moment. Alarms sounded in the cockpit. The landing site was rockier than expected. Armstrong had to take manual control. With fuel running dangerously low, he calmly guided the Eagle to a safe spot in the Sea of Tranquility. He sent a message back to Earth: Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. A sigh of relief was heard around the globe. Humans were on the moon. A few hours later, the hatch opened. Neil Armstrong carefully climbed down the ladder. As his boot touched the fine lunar dust, he spoke words that would echo through time. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Buzz Aldrin soon followed him onto the surface. They planted the American flag, collected rock samples, and conducted experiments. For over 2 hours, they walked on another world, showing us what we could do when we combined courage, intelligence, and a shared dream. In a world of information, sometimes misinformation can grow. Even for an event witnessed by millions, some people have doubts. They are called conspiracy theories. Some people believe the moon landing was a hoax, saying it was faked in a secret movie studio. They point to things they find strange in the photos and videos. For example, they ask why there are no stars in the sky in the lunar photos. They wonder why the American flag appears to be waving in the windless vacuum of space. These questions seem puzzling at first, but science and logic give us the answers. Let's look at the stars. The lunar surface is brightly lit by the sun. The astronauts' white spacesuits are also very bright. The cameras had to use a fast shutter speed and a small aperture to avoid overexposing the pictures of the astronauts and the landscape. This setting made the faint light of distant stars invisible to the camera. It's like trying to see stars from a brightly lit city street at night. The city lights washed them out. The same thing happened on the moon. What about the waving flag? There is no wind on the moon, that is true. But the flag was not waving in the wind. The astronauts had to transport it in a compact tube. When they deployed it, the fabric had wrinkles and folds from being packed so tightly. To make the flag fly, it was held up by a horizontal pole at the top. When the astronauts planted the flagpole into the ground, they twisted it back and forth. This motion caused the flexible flag to ripple and move, a movement that would continue for a while in the airless environment. The most powerful evidence against the hoax theory is something you can see for yourself. The Apollo missions left things on the moon. They left behind the landing stages of the lunar modules. They also left special mirrors called retroreflectors. Scientists on Earth can and do shoot powerful lasers at these mirrors. They then measure the time it takes for the light to bounce back. This allows them to measure the distance to the moon with amazing precision. These reflectors are still there, a silent testament to the reality of humanity's visit. The moon landing was more than just a victory in the Cold War. It was a turning point for science and society. The Apollo program drove a huge wave of technological innovation. To get to the moon, we had to invent new things. This led to the creation of computer microchips, which are the foundation of all modern electronics. It gave us new materials like memory foam and fire-resistant fabrics. The need to communicate with the spacecraft spurred advances in global communications and satellite technology. These inventions did not stay in space. They came back down to Earth and changed our lives. The journey to the moon also changed how we see our own planet. For the first time, we saw a picture of Earth from a great distance. The famous Earthrise photo, taken by the Apollo 8 crew, showed our world as a beautiful, fragile blue marble suspended in the blackness of space. This image had a profound effect. It helped to inspire the environmental movement, reminding us that we all share one home. A home without visible borders, a precious oasis in the vast cosmos that we must protect together. The legacy of Apollo continues to inspire us. It fuels our curiosity and our desire to explore. It tells us that with a bold vision and a commitment to science, we can achieve the seemingly impossible. The footprints left on the moon are a permanent reminder of our potential. Today, we are looking to go back. We are planning new missions to the moon and even beyond, to Mars. The spirit of Apollo is alive in the new generation of scientists, engineers, and explorers who dream of taking the next giant leap. The universe calls to us. It always has. The Apollo program was our first answer to that call on a grand scale. It taught us that we are not bound to our planet. We are a species capable of venturing into the cosmos. It expanded our horizons and our sense of what is possible. The story of the moon landing is not just history. It is a guide for the future. It is a promise that our greatest adventures are still ahead of us, waiting among the stars. The cosmos awaits.